Back here on HQ Spotlight, let's take a deep dive into the NFC East. The defending Super Bowl champs currently sitting atop the division. They're 7-2, and the defense came up big against the Packers, but the offense has got to get it going. We still got to give this team their flowers because winning on the road against a good team in the Packers is tough to do. So looking at the most consecutive seasons, starting 7-2 or better over the last 30 seasons, the Eagles between 2022 and 2025 have done that 4 times. They have won 3 straight games, and we're going to learn a lot about this squad on Sunday night as they face the Lions. And we're going to give out some midseason grades, not only for the Eagles, but for every team in the NFC East. So let's welcome in Ryan Wilson, John Breech. Gentlemen, great to see you. Starting with the Eagles, there have been question marks, whether it's from receivers on the team, fans, us in the media about this offense, what is going on. When it comes to the grading, shockingly, you guys are on the same page, Ryan Wilson.
Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Breech. Good to see you guys. Here's the thing. Jacqueline, you like the Jaguars, like the Steelers. Breech likes the Bengals. We would all love to be in the situation that Eagles fans currently find themselves, where they're moaning about the fact that their team has some level of dysfunction, and they're still 7-2. That is great news if you're an Eagles fan. And look, even go back a few years ago when Shane Steichen left and Jonathan Gannon left to take those jobs, and the Eagles lost their coordinators. That team wasn't very good and still went to the playoffs. This team is even better. They feel like they've gotten the coordinator situation fixed on the offensive side now that Kellen Moore has left. And A.J. Brown may not be happy, but he's happy with the Super Bowl ring he got last year, and he'll probably be happy with another one if they get that this year. So, look, they have losses to Denver, and the Giants' loss was inexplicable, but they've beaten some really good teams, not playing at 100%. I gave them an A- only because of the hiccups thus far. If this had been any other team in any other city, they would probably have more losses than wins. So be happy with what you got, Eagles fans, because it can get taken away from you pretty quickly, and a lot of fans around the league are probably pretty jealous of where you guys are sitting.
And don't forget, I got love for the Bengals too, Breech. I got love for the Bengals as well. We know that. But yeah, and Breech, you're on the same page. A- for the Eagles here, along with Ryan Wilson.
Yeah, we know you love the cat teams there with Jacksonville and Cincinnati, Jacqueline. I'm on the same page with Wilson for a lot of the same reasons. Usually when your starting wide receiver is going on Twitch and complaining about the team during a live stream, that seems like it would be a bad thing, but for some reason, the Eagles seem to thrive on dysfunction because the team has dysfunction. There was dysfunction last year. There was dysfunction earlier this season. There's dysfunction right now. But as Wilson said, the key here is that they keep winning games. And if you look like what they've done in the first half of the season, they do have some of the most impressive wins, maybe the most impressive collection of wins of any team in the NFL with wins over the Chiefs, the Rams, the Buccaneers. They beat the Packers. They've beaten all the top teams in the NFC. And so we're talking about a team that's kind of still trying to get their feet going on offense. The passing game is struggling. Saquon Barkley is not even close to what he was doing last year. But they're winning games. They're 7-2. So I don't think you can complain right now if you're an Eagles fan. And right now, as bad as people think things are in Philadelphia, not bad at all. This is the best team, one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, it feels like a small world problem when your team has lost like 3 in a row, like some of us, right? Okay, let's go to the Dallas Cowboys because I remember when Schottenheimer was hired as this coach, it wasn't the big flashy name, and some people were kind of disappointed, but we have to give credit to him in his first year here as head coach and how the players are responding to him. A lot of the times it is all on Dak. It's all on the offense. I'm eager to see on the other side of the ball how Quinnen Williams fits in. But Breech, what is the grade for the Dallas Cowboys as we're midway through the season here?
Well, I'm going to split it up into 2 grades and throwing you guys a curveball here. I'm giving the Cowboys a C-. I'm giving Jerry Jones an F. Because we all know what happened at the beginning of the season. Jerry Jones decided to trade Micah Parsons away. And, well, when you trade your best defensive player away less than 2 weeks before week 1, there are going to be some consequences. And there have absolutely been some consequences this season. The Cowboys are 3-5-1. And the reason for that is because their defense has been so bad. We're looking at the graphic there. They're giving up 30.8 points per game. That's the 3rd most in Cowboys history. That's the 2nd most in the NFL this year, ahead of only the Bengals. So that's just not impressive. And if your defense is giving up more than 30 points a game, that puts so much pressure on your offense that there is no margin for error. They have to be perfect at all times. And as good as Dak Prescott is, it is difficult to be perfect at all times. So the fact that Cowboys have been able to win some games, they got that tie in there, and the offense has looked good, is canceled out by the fact the defense has been so bad. So that's why I want the C- for Dallas, F for Jerry.
I don't think I've ever done a grading segment where we've split up the grade for the team and then the owner. So putting a little plot twist in there for us, Breech. Ryan, where are you at when it comes to the Cowboys? What's your grade?
Yeah, somehow Breech and I agree. Again, C-. I didn't give Jerry Jones a grade. Look, I understand the F that Breech gave him. I'll give him an A from the P.T. Barnum School if there's no such thing as bad publicity, because that seems to be all he cares about, because we continue to talk about the Cowboys. By the way, they did tie the Packers, and that might be the highlight thus far, even though they have 3 wins. Those 3 wins came against the Giants and the Jets and the Commanders. Combined, they have 6 wins, I believe. Not great. So, again, this offense has been so high-powered that they can't even come close to beating a team with a winning record. The best they can do is tie the Packers. And as Breech noted, the whole preseason debacle with Micah Parsons and trading him, that's great for all the draft capital you get, but you're wasting a year of the players currently playing at a high level on offense. And I don't know if Quentin Williams is going to magically solve all the defensive issues. And we just saw in that graphic how many points they're giving up. So C-. And the arrow appears to be pointing down, because I don't think the defense is going to get magically better over the second half of the season.
It's funny because these 2 different grades for Jerry Jones, I feel like represents just how polarizing he is as an individual to the football community. It's either an A or it's an F, depending on your perspective, right? Let's make our way down here through the division, talking about the Commanders. And it's been, I think it's safe to say, a disappointing season overall, albeit Jaden Daniels dealing with injuries throughout the season, and this defense has not been good either. So, Ryan Wilson, I'll come to you first. What is the grade for you for the Commanders and Dan Quinn's squad?
Yeah, you hinted at it when you said disappointing, Jacqueline. That's it starts with a D, and that's what I gave the Commanders. If this were last year, Jaden Daniels' rookie season, it probably would have been a little bit higher, because that organization was so dysfunctional prior to Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels arriving that you would expect some time to fix things. They fixed things right away last year, in large part because of Jaden Daniels. This year, it just has not come together. You talk about the injury to the second-year quarterback, who's incredibly important to what they do. Terry McLaurin's been in and out with injuries. Debo Samuel's been banged up. The defense has not been very good. They can't generate a pass rush. And taken together, they're one of the worst teams in the NFC, which is crazy to think, given how high the expectations were, how deep that playoff run was last year with Jaden Daniels. So I gave him a D, and I understand a lot of that's injury related, but at the end of the day, when you're 3-7, you're 3-7, and there's no real way to sugarcoat that.
Breech, what say you? Where are you at? Are you in the D category, a little bit of a tougher grader, giving them an easier time? What is the grade for the Commanders in your eyes?
I mean, I'm embarrassed here because Wilson, we're just copying each other's homework, Ryan. How did this happen? I'm giving them a D, too. This is just what the Commanders have been this year. They haven't played good football. And I know Ryan mentioned all the injuries, but Jaden Daniels was out there for 6 games and they went 2-4. So even if he had stayed healthy, the defense has been so bad that I'm not sure their record is much better, even if he had started all 10 games. Maybe they're 4-6 instead of 3-7, but when you have a historically bad defense, we saw the graphic there. This team has lost 4 straight games by 21 points or more. They've given up an average of nearly 36 points per game over the past 5 weeks. And when your defense is playing like that and everyone's banged up on offense, it's just impossible to win. And so the Commanders have fallen very far from where they were last season, which is the NFC title game. They had high expectations this year. They simply have not lived up to them, which is why I'm giving them a D.
All right, finally, let's get to the Giants. And I don't feel like the grade is going to get better than that. They blow that lead against the Bears. Jackson Dart is out with a concussion, and it ultimately cost Brian Daboll his job. Breech, I know where this is going, but just take it away. What is the grade for the Giants here at this point?
It is a D. Look, when you fire your head coach, that pretty much means things are not going well. So I think we can all agree the first half of the season did not go the way the Giants wanted it to. Jackson Dart came in and gave that team a spark, which makes you wonder, why didn't you just play Jackson Dart from week 1 instead of throwing Russell Wilson out there? And as good as Jackson Dart has been, because he's absolutely been a bright spot. The concussion issues kind of put a damper on that because he has been evaluated for 4 concussions, and you cannot let your quarterback deal with that. Whether that's kind of telling him, hey, you have to slide, hey, you have to run out of bounds, you can't be taking these big hits. These guys are twice your size. I don't think the defense has been as good as maybe it should have been when we were looking at it in the preseason. Malik Neighbors is injured, so they've just been dealing with issue after issue after issue, and Jackson Dart has been the one bright spot. So I'll give them a D.
So it's a D for Breech. Ryan Wilson, is it a D for you? D minus, D plus? What's the grade, Professor Wilson?
Yeah, Breech talked about the one bright spot being Jackson Dart. That earns him a plus on the D, and that's it. There's not a lot of room for optimism as we sit here. They did really good in the draft this year. Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart in the first round. Cam Scadaboo was a difference maker, but he's injured and out for the season. Breech talked about Malik Neighbors being gone. There are not a lot of weapons on offense, and Jackson Dart was sort of the only show in town. And I joked all the time, find someone that loves Jackson Dart the way that Brian Dable did, and you'll be set for life. But those two have since been forced to split up, and I don't know what it looks like going forward because, as Breech noted, he's had 4 concussions already. Jackson Dart at least been in concussion protocol 4 times. The way he is playing is not sustainable, and if they don't get a head coaching job right this time around, this could very easily turn into an F. So the only bright spot has been Jackson Dart, and everything else has been sort of hard to stomach, and that's in large part why Brian Dable no longer has a job in New York.
One thing for certain, no matter what the situation is, Jameis Winston is always going to be singing at a press conference and trying to eat W's and bring the vibes. Breech, Ryan, we appreciate it. Midseason grades for the NFC East. Hang tight, gentlemen, because we have more grading to do from Professor Wilson and Professor Breech. We're moving along to the AFC West, and we're going to talk about this crazy division where it's still unclear if the Chiefs are going to come back and win this thing. What about the Broncos? Where are they at? The guys are giving out midseason grades for this division coming up after the break.